A Gentleman in Moscow Episode 7, An Assembly, is the show's penultimate installment, and places itself in a key moment in Russian history. Alexander Rostov's time in Moscow's Metropole Hotel stretches even further, but with his imprisonment now much more bearable due to the presence of his found family in Anna and Sophia. An Assembly is the next stage in A Gentleman in Moscow's tense and slow-burning narrative, with the return of familiar faces as the country's political landscape shifts once again. Episode 7 of the adaptation of Amor Towles' 2016 novel continues to abide by real historical milestones while keeping the cast of A Gentleman in Moscow away from the heart of established events. With just one episode remaining, the goings-on in An Assembly set up what is sure to be a thrilling and possibly deeply emotional affair for every character within the story. Alexander Rostov may be living the best life available to him, but it looks as though at least part of that happiness is set to end in one way or another. Joseph Stalin is dead. A Gentleman in Moscow Episode 7 includes a secret time jump. A Gentleman in Moscow has acknowledged many periods and events from Russian history, including the Bolshevik Revolution, the Soviet famine, and the death of Vladimir Lenin. An Assembly continues this trend by showing manager Leplovsky listening to the radio announcement of the death of Joseph Stalin. This means that A Gentleman in Moscow Episode 7 is set in 1953, 6 years after the events of A Gentleman in Moscow Episode 6, The Fall. What's perhaps most interesting in how the show handles Stalin's death is that the event is used to mask the time jump between Episodes 6 and 7. A Gentleman in Moscow has been no stranger to time jumps in previous episodes, but the fast-forwards have always been marked with the new year appearing on the screen in giant, red numbers. An Assembly is the first installment to forego this convention, and instead relies on the viewer's knowledge of established events. Regardless, Stalin's death sets in motion a great many other storylines within the episode. Mishka is alive, but he's not in a good way. Alexander's old friend was taken away in Episode 4. Mishka's return isn't the heartfelt reunion it perhaps should have been. Last seen in A Gentleman in Moscow Episode 4, Good Times, Alexander's university friend has been imprisoned for his anti-Russian rant in the bar of the Metropole Hotel. At the time, it was unclear if he was being taken away to be executed, but An Assembly reveals he is alive. Mishka's time in Siberia has left him with physical and mental scars, with the exhaustion caused by his escape resulting in almost a full day of sleep.